Hey, beautiful human. Welcome to episode 8 of From Chaos to Cozy, where we're on an amazing journey gaining clarity around our chaos and how to see our cozy more clearly. In the last episode, we chatted a bit about the power of choice, changing our habit of choice, and questioning our thought and emotion. In this episode, we'll continue our questioning journey and look into our energy and our physical actions. We'll also identify some additional ways that we can tell when we're in fear. And that's important because when we're in fear, we do stupid stuff. All right, so let's look at questioning energy. Wherever we focus our energy, it grows and flows and it draws things to us that match that energetic level. Most of us have the instinct and or are taught growing up that we should focus on the things that we fear that will come into our lives, not come into our lives. Fear won't leave our lives or fear will come into our lives, as well as focus on what we're missing, what we hate, and what we want. And these are lower vibrational energies. When we focus on those, we tell the universe through our energy that this is what we desire, what will make us happy. And it obliges because it is our co-pilot in the passenger seat of our vehicle where we're the driver. And when we tell them where we want to go with our energy, they put it in the navigation system and direct us to it, which can mean that they help bring it to us as well. And I have a theory that it can be advantageous for us, or more advantageous maybe, if we spend 80% of our time on higher vibrational energy, growing and attracting that, and the other 20% of our time reviewing the lower vibrational triggers, those that make themselves known to us, so that we can transform those fears and dismantle those triggers without growing them all by accident with over-focusing on them. We can do too much shadow work where we're growing our shadow instead of transforming it. It's like a little child that, or kid that enters a donut shop, and if they point at all the donuts that they hate in the glass counter, the baker will give them dozens of those. But if they instead point at all the donuts they love, they will receive dozens of those in its place. When we focus our energy on what we feel is missing in our lives, we tell the universe we really enjoy and desire more of this feeling of missing things. So we will miss that thing more by having it not come into our life. Soon it'll be pushed further out, or have other things introduce themselves as missing, and we end up missing things about the new things. The same thing with wanting. If I focus on what I am wanting over and over and over again, I'm telling the universe through my energy that I enjoy wanting, not receiving, but the wanting feeling. So I can't receive what I want, otherwise my wanting would stop, right? So thankfully, through our power of choice, all of this is within our own hands. We hold the power. We can consciously choose to focus on the higher vibrational things like gratitude, unconditional love, joy, laughter, and peace. And we grow those things that way. So how do we want something without wanting it? Right? Great question. We can begin by choosing, what we're wanting to have, whatever the something is in our lives. And we can just choose, okay, I would like this. And that puts the piece on the playing board. If we focus on the wanting of it and continue that, then it kind of takes us back spaces towards receiving that item. So instead, we want to focus on the 4 areas of our choice. The first is thinking. We see in our mind's eye upon the picture screen where daydreaming and visions appear, and we see ourselves receiving the item and having gratitude for receiving it. And you can see as if it is happening right now, picture it that way. The second thing is we focus on our feeling. We feel what it would feel like in that moment receiving the item, and let those feelings flow and have gratitude for those feelings. And then we look at the energy. All four of these areas we're talking about really technically are energy: thought energy, emotional energy, physical energy. And this energy, number 3, is like intention energy, will energy, choice energy. That spark that happens when you're laying in bed, having trouble getting out of bed, and suddenly deciding, let's go, and doing it. This is like the choice of choosing, if that makes sense. So we make the choice to choose the higher vibrational focus in all these areas. And lastly, the physical choices. This is the physical action we take. Whatever things we can action in the outside world to prove to ourselves that this is what we are choosing to do. It's like if you're wanting new furniture, you start getting rid of the old to make room for the new. If you're wanting to move, you start purging things, making lists of places you would like to move to. You do the research, etc. So those physical actions bring the energy into the physical world. So those are like kind of manifestation. How do I go about wanting things in my life without focusing on the wanting? So that's a little tool that could help if that resonates for you. Which kind of segues us into another important area when it comes to energy, which is choosing where we are investing our energy. The 10 of Wands in the Tarot, it's the perfect representation for this. Because we can be investing our energy in 10 things, each only moving just one space forward. Urgent things demanding our attention that may not be important. Now we can question where we are investing all that energy. We can look at what is our true north, our North Star, that which is truly important for us in our lives, which can really bring some clarity around what we think is supposed to be important to us, but what truly is. What are we living for? What are we wanting to move towards? What is that dream or that life purpose that makes our heart sing and make it feel full? How do we want to uniquely express that unconditional love in our hearts with the world? And once we discover at least a far off distant point of all that, of what we feel our life purpose or dharma is, then we can build a big picture plan and take small steps towards it. Realizing what is not important but urgently demanding our time can allow us to stop investing in that urgent thing and just let it go, saving that energy to invest into the important. That allows us to, rather than go up like one space, for each of the 10 pieces, we instead go up 10 spaces for that one piece. We make great progress towards that dream. And we can, regularly, even daily or several times a day, check in on where our energy is at. And doing that can help us be aware and alter our focus. I talk about in I think it was the last episode, using, my cell phone and using the silent vibrating alarm on there, helps. You can set it for every hour to come back to the true north, or come back to the important, until it becomes our practice, our habit. And this rolls over into our final questioning subject, at least for this episode, which is questioning our physical actions. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And as our inner world changes and transforms through our questioning and power of choice, then we see our outward world begin to reflect that. We don't change from the outside in, we change from the inside out. And that's why, if you ever tried to change people's minds and lives, it doesn't work out too well, right? Because we're trying to change things from the outside. And truly, it is difficult to change people's minds too, because we are mentally stubborn as a race of humanity who develop strong belief systems that are rooted in emotional experiences. One emotion can spawn 1,000 thoughts and beliefs to reinforce safety and control around whatever our own experiences are, so we can most impact and fully change the world through changing of hearts. And how do we do that? We do that by loving unconditionally. When we're feeling loved and supported, we're not in fear, and we can see life so much more clearly. But when we're in fear, we're either defending and attacking or fleeing and silent without any progress being made towards the cozy. We return to sweeping in front of our own door then. And as we focus on our own emotions, our own thoughts, the triggers that are happening within us, focusing as much as we can on higher vibrational thoughts, emotions, energy, and actions in the physical world, then we can be in a calm place to question, why do we do what we do? Our physical actions are the reflection of emotional and mental choices. They make their ways out and reflect out there. And we're either responding in an emotionally stable way through unconditional love, or more normally in the beginning especially, we are reacting emotionally from a trigger and doing things that are not so intelligent, so loving, or so compassionate. We will try to perform on the outside world to do those things that we feel others are expecting of us, so that we're not ostracized out of our tribe or our pack. Even though on the inside we disagree and don't want to do those things, out of fear we defer to doing it anyway, because the ugly feeling of not being true to our authentic selves is outweighed by the fear of being rejected by important people in our lives, and sometimes even fearing what the big they, will think of us, that mysterious they who were like, who are they? Because usually when we get down to realizing, the people that truly know me won't judge me, and it's the people that don't know us that we fear will judge us, not knowing all the truth, that we freak out about sometimes. But when you really look at it, if there's people making judgment calls without all the information, they're making some uneducated, uninformed, decisions that of opinion without all the facts. And why do we care what they think then? Because they're making poor, opinions anyway. But as we face these inner fears and we gain clarity of thought and feeling, transforming those small t truths that are rooted in fear by connecting to the capital T truths rooted in unconditional love, we gain more bravery to say no to the expectations that do not match up to our true authentic self. And at some point, the ugly feeling of not being our true selves outweighs the fears, and that's when we take action ourselves to have our outer world match up to our inner world. Freedom, right? The physical world really is all about reflection, when you look at it, because what we see being reflected in others in the outside world is a mirror for us to see things about ourselves that we want to see until we see them. Focusing on why other people are doing or saying things or not doing and not saying things like, I love you, is really a waste of energy. Remember, their outer actions are based on their own thoughts, emotions, and inner energy. And if they are not actions of unconditional love, then they are actions of fear, which isn't about us anyway. Other people's actions, opinions, thoughts, emotions, or anything else going on out there is really none of our business, since it has little to do with us. As Byron Katie says, when we're in other people's business, we're out of our business. And that's when we feel lonely, out of control, and other lower vibrational experiences. So rather than focusing on why someone is doing something, we can use our energy more productively and come back into our own business, sweep in front of our own door. What do we see when we look at someone else in the physical world? We can't see in someone else something that doesn't exist or have existed within ourselves. And that can be the amazing superstar things that you recognize in them, or the irritating things as well, right? And realizing that, we can look at our own physical actions and the energy behind them. Why do we do the things we do? Why do I feel I'm supposed to act in a certain way? And is it how I want to continue to act? Physical action, it brings extra energy into our world. Whether that be speech or physical movement in some way, it brings vibration onto this physical stage. Whether it is a higher or lower vibration depends on the intention behind it, which refers back to the focal energy we have, as well as the mental and emotional energy that join it. So to bring the power of choice here, this discussion about questioning to an end, at least for now, remember, every moment is about 4 choices in our human experience. The first is the thought I am choosing about what is happening in this moment, the story I'm applying to it. Is it something I am choosing on my own, or is it based on the popular opinion I grew up with? Do I want to change the story? What stories could those be? The second is the emotion I am choosing to feel in this moment. Is it a feeling I am reacting with because it is what I learned out of habit from my childhood? Do I want to choose a new emotion in this moment? And which ones would I want to feel? Thirdly, the energetic intention and focus of my energy. Am I focusing on lower vibrational energy as I was taught to focus on? What adjustment with my energy do I want to make? And am I focusing on my dream? And then lastly, number 4, the physical actions I'm taking in this moment. And am I doing things because I feel I have to or because I want to? Does it help me toward my dream? What happens with this physical energy when I change my to-do list to a could-do list? We are so much more powerful than we've been taught. The realization of our power of choice is truly life-altering. We move from a victim role of feeling like life is happening to us and we're at the whim of what's unfolding in the outside world. But that can all change to a place of empowerment when we take responsibility for our own choices. We can realize that we have made a lot of choices before we even came down here for fated events that we want to experience. And then there's so many more choices when we're down here among the adventure. There are so many possibilities that can unfold in our lives, and the choices we make in each moment take us down different paths. But do not fret. We're not stuck in a choice for life. We can make another choice in the next moment, and then the next, and then the next. It is truly an adventure in this giant amusement park full of fear rides, and we don't have to ride anything that we don't want to ride anymore. There is no right or wrong choice. They just bring us different experiences. When you're tired of living a fear choice, you can choose differently. You can choose unconditional love choices. So let's move on to just talk about how do we know when we're in fear. And I'd like to start off with talking about how we can tell physically when we're in fear. And these can be great flags for us to recognize when fear is rising or if we're living a great amount of time in fear mode. When we feel threatened, our bodies do kick into survival mode. Its formal title, or a well-known one, is fight or flight mode, or sometimes they'll throw freeze in there too. But the extent it is kept alive, this survival mode, depends on how we were and are conditioned and by what we feed our senses. The news we watch, the social media posts we read, the books, the movies, the advertisements, the song, and television programs we consume all contribute to our conditioning and view of what we think our world should be. And though the made-up stories in movies, books, and songs usually result in a victory or a happy ending, we're still exposing our brains to a perceived threat, even though the things we're witnessing aren't really happening to us. We're just watching them happen. How does fear impact our bodies? Now, I'm not a licensed physician or a professional scientist, so take this information as you will. And a significant amount of information regarding fight or flight mode can be found in books and on the internet. So I encourage you, validate information and, just take what resonates for you. So when fear is activated in the body, the primitive side of our brain readies us for action. And see if you recognize any of these symptoms. Now, the first is adrenaline and stress hormones are released. So blood pressure rises as the heart pumps faster, sending adrenaline and oxygen throughout the body. Then chest pains can occur as our lungs contract to allow more oxygen. Breathing becomes faster and shallower with even hyperventilation. Our faces begin to blush or look flushed. We may feel dizzy or lightheaded with the surge of oxygen, and as the blood leaves our brain, it becomes difficult to concentrate or focus. A flood of adrenaline can cause trembling or shakiness, and we may experience a butterflies in the stomach feeling. So that's all the adrenaline and the stress hormones. And then number 2, pupils dilate. Eyesight is more sensitive when pupils are dilated, thus alerting us to movements around us. So we're really going to spot things with that we normally wouldn't stand out to us. Thirdly, non-essential physiological processes switch off. So digestive slows or ceases. Stomach and gastrointestinal tract constricts to divert blood to muscles. We might feel our stomach churn. Our mouth goes dry as digestion shuts down because there's no need to spend that extra energy creating spit. We might have difficulty swallowing, right? Fourthly, the skin chills. We can experience sweating and cold hands as our body prepares for that exertion. Fifthly, the cortisol is released to suppress the immune system. So that means the immune system shuts down. This mechanism, of course, is designed to be a short-term fix to save us from any immediate danger. So the body momentarily shuts down its immune system to divert all the energy to our protective defenses, our arms and muscles to fight, our legs to run. Our liver also releases glucose to provide quick fuel for our muscles. So blood sugar levels increase, and that constricts our blood vessels. Our metabolism switches to high. And then the spleen pumps out white blood cells in preparation for possible physical injury. And then lastly, blood is diverted into muscles to prepare for a burst of emergency action. So neck and shoulder muscles tense, and the other muscles also contract because we're getting ready for action, to fight or to run like hell. So, like I said, we're designed to have this be short term. But in these days and age, and because we don't have a ton of physical danger like we did when we were avoiding, living out in the wilderness and not in big cities, and wild animals were running, throughout villages and whatever. At least in a large portion of the world, we don't. But so it's mainly social monsters that we deal with, and if we're in continual fight or flight and survival mode by what we're seeing in the world and all the fear that's broadcast, especially these days across the TVs and, television programs and all that stuff. We can be kept in that survival mode much more. So, we want to look at how does the continual activation of our alarm system impact our bodies. And as I mentioned, our bodies are designed to consistently fight off illness, but when our immune systems are repeatedly and unnaturally shut down, we contract more illnesses than ever before. So, though our bodies were naturally designed to fight off cancer, for example, it's now common and often fatal occurrence in society. We tend to treat the symptoms, but not the cause. So some, type of disorders or impacts on our body, it can make itself known through allergies, through autoimmune disorders, high blood pressure, which includes like heart problems and headaches. Our nervous system is overused, so that can result in insomnia and sleeplessness, chronic pain, arthritis, panic and anxiety disorders, chronic fatigue, and then digestive issues, obesity, irritable bowel syndrome, other gastrointestinal problems, skin disorders, acne, eczema. So again, these can be indicators that we're in a cycle of fear, and coming out of chaos to cozy can help the body be the amazing healing machine that it is and reverse the impact on our physical bodies. So, there's a lot of reasons why pursuing cozy is desirable, right? Because we feel good, but it can help maintain physical health in our bodies too. So I feel like this is a good place to stop for this episode since we've covered a ton of information. And as always, let me know if you have any questions on any of this by commenting on the video or sending me an email. You can send me my emails in the description box of the video, but it's bruddazen@gmail.com, BRUDDAZEN@gmail.com. All right, everybody, in the next episode, we'll continue to look at flags that show us when we're in fear and tools on how we can consciously transform our awareness of our chaos to cozy. Until next time, remember every second of every moment of our lives that we are eternally and unconditionally loved by the Mother and the Father of all things, our Creator, and of course, I love you too. So hang in there, take care of you, and we'll see you soon.